Just. Now, I've had a letter from Zoe Gray from Midlothian, from Bonnyrigg, and she says, whatever else you do in this series, you must take a look at an old Tomorrow's World invention my father worked on called the Stammer Jammer. Well, we did take a look, and we chanced upon an inspiring and moving story.
This man, Robert Burns, whose genius comes flashing at you like sheet lightning on a summer's eve.
Giving a speech like this would once have been impossible for Jack Webster, because he used to be a chronic stammerer.
It was the voice of Scotland applied to the whole human scene. I think it is our obligation, as well as our desire, to rise as I bid you now, and drink to the immortal memory of Robert Burns. Robert Burns. Robert Burns. I had a stammer from the day I could speak. And it's obviously very awkward when you go to school, children tend to mock you a bit. My father couldn't understand it, he got impatient with me, what was wrong with me type thing. So the stammer was always an embarrassment to me, obviously. You don't like to hear yourself stammering, it's awkward for you and it's awkward for other people, and it's a big bugbear.
Despite his stammer, Jack became a successful journalist. A feature writer, he interviewed famous stars all over the world.
I had to interview Charlie Chaplin and Muhammad Ali, Sophia Loren, whoever it was. I just had to do it. And indeed my editor at the Daily Express, he used to think it was an advantage because people tended to speak more so that I would have to say less.
Then one day, Jack's editor sent him on an assignment that was to change his life. It was to investigate a device called the Stammer Jammer, officially known as the Edinburgh Masker, invented by a speech therapist called Anne Dewar.
I was sceptical because I thought this was just another gimmick, in fact, but I was astonished to find what she had done.
Jack wasn't the only journalist covering this story. Michael Rodd also went to look at the Stammer Jammer in action, along with Walter Buchanan, a severe stammerer.
Would you mind reading this to me, and we'll see how it goes. Starting from here.
Such words as...
Fair enough, I think that's given us enough anyway. Right, now I think we'll try with this on, see what happens.
The technique was simple. It's based on the observation that if a stammerer can't hear their own voice, they tend to stop stammering. A microphone attached to the stammerer's neck triggers a noise which the person hears in their headphones every time they speak.
Right.
Firewood.
Now let's see what happens with Baa Black Sheep.
Baa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, 1 for the little lad that lives down the lane.
That's excellent.
Dramatic.
Although it was awkward to wear, many stammerers found they didn't have to put up with the masker forever, because with practice they were able to speak quite fluently without it. 20 years after Jack Webster first met Anne Dewar, we reunited them to talk about their original meeting.
Was he really cynical?
He was sure it was a gimmick, but then everyone is at first. It's silly, it's magic, and it shouldn't work. I still look at it most surprised it does.
Then you put it on to a stammerer, the worst stammerer I had ever heard in my life, and I just couldn't believe the result. And then I think I asked if I could try it on myself. He said, yes, have a go. So I did, and I took off like a bird. It was really a liberation. You felt so free, you were flying. And that began to teach me the rhythm of speech.
You have a lovely voice and lovely to hear, because the accent came through and it hadn't been spoiled.
Now, I had been asked if I would make a speech at King's College in Aberdeen about my great-grandfather, Gavin Gregg, who was a poet and playwright. And up till then, I wouldn't have contemplated that. But then I thought, well, maybe this is the moment to try this out. So I went to Aberdeen, and I made a speech. I spoke for an hour, and I'm told I spoke perfectly.
But Jack was one of the lucky ones. Frustratingly, the Masker went out of production several years ago, and since then, it's been virtually impossible to get hold of one.
But there was no doubt that the Masker had worked wonders for Jack, because it enabled him to take up a new job as a television presenter.
I wandered out on many a clear winter night and gazed upwards at that weird display of light in the sky.
Suddenly, Jack was in demand. Public speaking engagements started to pour in. Jack's reputation as a public speaker grew and grew, until last year he received the ultimate accolade. Following in the footsteps of speakers such as Peter Ustinov and Terry Waite, he received Britain's Speaker of the Year award. The following month, Reader's Digest ran a story about how the masker had changed Jack's life. At the end of the article, there was a short note offering the rights to produce the masker to any company that was interested. Thanks to that footnote, the masker's going back into production. An electronics company has already started making the original version, but it's also going one stage further.
We're going to produce the masker exactly as it is. That's what people are used to. However, over the next 4 or 5 months, the intention is to modernize it. We will then produce a miniaturized version. We'll still have to have a tiny throat mic. We'll still have to have the earpieces. But between the two, there will be a little box about the size of your thumbnail.
Which of course is great news. The machine that made such a big difference to Jack's life can at last help a whole new generation of stammerers.
What a lovely story.
Yeah, and he really is the most charming man. Good writer too.
Good stuff.